Okay, I'm finally here, and I'm gonna do this for you, Jesus. I want to tell you guys about a dream I had quite a few years ago, but I haven't really had the courage to do this until now, and even now I'm very nervous, so excuse me if I stutter or make a mistake. Okay, let me get right to it. So this was more like a waking vision rather than a dream. I felt like I was there. I saw colors. I felt heat. So I remember exiting the front porch of a house. It looked like a southern style home. It had a white porch with white flooring. I step out of this mesh screen door, and out of the right hand side of my vision I see the sun, and it's very bright and it's illuminating the entire, it's midday, it's bright. All of a sudden there's another object, planetary object. I don't know if it's the moon or a different planet, but it keeps eclipsing the sun, and as it does this, the day is getting dimmer and dimmer, and finally it eclipses the whole thing and day turns into night. Okay, just like that, day turns into night. It's pitch dark, and out of the left hand side, I don't know if this is your right, but this is my left hand side, I see a huge planet, and we're talking humongous, like it's covering the entire sky, and it's pretty much on us. It's not even coming towards us, it's on us, and it's massive. I could feel the heat emanating from it. I could see the ribbons of fire that are jumping off of this planet. It looks like Mars, but in my spirit I felt like it wasn't Mars. It's massive, it's volcanic, and the flames are bright red with fire dancing in a ribbon-like pattern. And many people have already had dreams like this, and I could feel the heat. I could feel my skin blistering. And as it came closer, I felt like all of the earth structures, whether there were trees or houses, it felt like they were being pulled towards this planet. And we felt that pull, being pulled from our bodies. And so this was happening. And out of the corner of my eye to the right again, I saw fireballs fall and just torch the earth, just burn down buildings and animals and cars and whatever was in its way. It was just falling, and scared out of my mind, but this was the most important part of the dream, and that was the fact that I felt like I was being pulled towards this planet, but not so much in a physical sense, but more like in a spiritual sense. I felt like my soul was being lifted from my body towards the sky.
So the dream starts out where me and my son, my aunt and one of her friends were in this car and we were driving, and all of a sudden in the sky I heard this voice. I guess it was God's voice, but it was like a preacher's voice that I've heard before. But he asked the question, and he said, I bet that a lot of Christians, and especially non-Christians, will not get this message of the signs of the times. And so anyway, so we looked up in the sky, and to the left there was a bunch of dark clouds, and there was two circles, and I am thinking that the circles, because it didn't show the form of whatever the circles was the earth, and then also the sun. And the third circle was actually a total solar eclipse. And but anyways, so it was the total solar eclipse, and that is where the moon goes between the earth and the sun, and it forms that. Well, anyways, so I saw that, and that was the focus in the sky. So I knew it, and I saw it, and I knew what it was meant as far as the end time. So the next thing I know, from the cars, I could see this blue beam of light shot up all the way to the sky. You couldn't even see where it ended or anything. And it was a blue light. And so it represented like if you were to get shot up into a tube, like if you were raptured up, you know, and everything. And so the people that discerned the times and saw, you know, everything in the sky, then they would get raptured up. Well, I said to my son, I said, you know, I always wanted to do that, you know, so to be caught up in the light. And my son said, here's how you do it. And he did something. And so we had this light, this blue light coming from our car. And I was like, that was really cool, you know. And so I was like, well, what about the sound? Because all of these lights have like a light, soft, warping sound. I guess like when you go, just zoom up, you know, the sound that it would make so fast. And then he turned something, my son turned something, and so it was like we were in a rocket or something getting ready to take off, blast off, zoom up, you know, what you would do if you were being raptured. So, and when he did this, I hugged him and I kissed his face and I said, you're a genius. So anyway, so that was the extent of my dream. So basically it was saying that me and my son are ready, rapture ready, when Jesus comes in the clouds to catch us up. And I don't know the significance of this total solar eclipse, but you know, it's just another sign of the times. We won't have another one for many, many years. And you know, so that was my dream. And I hope it encourages you to know that Jesus is soon to be here. So I'm ready, and I hope you are too.
Now that I've been having these dreams, I'm like feel in my spirit that I need to share this. So I was dreaming about the moment that the rapture came, and I mean, it was a normal day like others, but it happened specifically in a day where a solar eclipse was taking place. So the eclipse was like not a hole covering the whole sun and everything, but just like a ring of fire. And I think it's a good idea to be prepared, because it could happen. I myself am preparing, because I literally see like everyone around me vanish. The funny thing about it that I was not. I missed it in the dream. And that feeling for me was like, I was devastated, honestly, that I missed it. Since then, I've been praying my best and behaving my best, because I really don't want to miss it.
So in this dream, I was sitting on kind of a steep grassy hill that was facing out to an open sky, and there were a lot of people who were sitting on this grassy hill. I was with my father-in-law in this dream, but there were many other people who were sitting on this hill. It was at night, and we were looking out into the sky, like stargazing. And all of a sudden, I saw a comet, like a very bright comet, go from right to left in the sky in front of me. And I pointed it out to my father-in-law. And as we're looking at it flying across the sky to the left, I turn and look, and the moon is there. But there was another, I think what was another planet that was in front of the moon that was like eclipsing the moon. And so I saw it moving into an eclipse of the moon, and the other planet that was in front of the moon, I didn't see any detail of it. It was just a black circle. But it completely eclipsed the moon, and I remember it struck me because I had never seen a lunar eclipse like this that looked like a solar eclipse, you know, and like a total solar eclipse, how you have kind of the black circle in front of the sun, and then you have the ring of fire around it. So that's what this looked like, but I know it was the moon, and it was like a ring of light that was around the black circle. And then it moved out from the other planet that was eclipsing, moved out from in front of the moon, and I saw both of them side by side, and they were obviously very similar in size. And then I looked to the right, and there was another planet in the sky, and it was the size of the moon. And when we saw these things, we got up and we started running towards this tunnel. It was like a underground tunnel, kind of like a tunnel that you might drive through in your car. And we ran into the tunnel, but it was kind of angled upward toward the sky. And at the end of the tunnel, there was nothing. It was just what I think is just like a drop off. But when we're running inside this tunnel and we're looking to the end of the tunnel, all we see is sky. And when we're running, we see this large white planet. It was huge, and it came and aligned perfectly with the end of the tunnel. And it was, like I said, really large, huge planet, and white. And it was like the moon, like it glowed like the moon. It was white like the moon. It had that glow about it. But it was different than the moon in that it was perfect. There were no craters or any like shadows on it. It was just shining almost like a pearl, like a perfect pearl in the sky. It was just like shining. And it was shining like, it was like a soft glow like the moon, but it was like shimmering like the sun. Like if you've ever seen like a close-up video of the sun, like a telescope video from, you know, like a big telescope, and they show you like all the movement of like the fire and stuff on the sun, it was like that. It was like shimmering kind of like that, but white and glowing like the moon. And the people that had run into this tunnel all started sitting down in small groups near the end of this tunnel. And I had an understanding that the groups that we were sitting in were the different groups for the different planets we would be getting on. Like, we're going to get onto a planet in this tunnel, like the planet aligns with the tunnel, and then we get on. And then I woke up.
Hello, I just came on here to do a real quick video on September 27th of this year, 2024. I woke up and I just had a rapture dream. I was sitting outside somewhere and I turned around and I could see two moons right next to each other, with a little bit of space between them. And the air had like a very eclipse feel to it. When the sun is in eclipse, it gets real cool feeling, and that was what it felt like in the dream. And I knew the rapture was imminent once I saw that.
So today I took a nap about 2 p.m. My sleep schedule was backwards, so these naps would be like 5 hours. But I took a nap about 2 p.m., woke up at about 7. And I had a rapture dream, but it was different. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. For one, it was very scary. It was like a horror movie. I got left behind in this rapture dream. So what happened was, I looked to the east of the sky, and it was the biggest moon I've ever seen displayed ever, and it was an eclipse. It was an eclipse, and it was you could see the glowing ring around the moon. And I was like, no, the rapture. So I got down on my knees, and I got to praying. I got to praying to God. And God, please take me up. Please take me up. Don't leave me behind. Take me up. Because I knew people was disappearing out their cars. That's why cars were moving. Like, people were driving their cars, instantly left, and the cars kept moving in neutral or in drive. So I'm like, God, please pick me up, please pick me up. I started to mourn, and I started to like have this convicting spirit like feeling in me that like, you mean what you say, but you didn't move quick enough. You didn't stop quick enough, you know, like sin, etc. And as I got up, I realized, dang, he didn't pick me up. When I looked to my left, everybody in the parking lot had black eyeballs, like black veins, and they were murdering people. Chad hopped in somebody's car, and somebody came from the back of the car and started stabbing him in his neck. Instantly violent. Instantly violent. Everybody, whoever got taken up, left, but I was still left behind. Somebody was brutally stabbing him in his neck. So I took off.
It's probably about 3-4 months ago, but I had a dream where I was walking to our shop, and this is the middle of the day or noon. I'm not for sure. I mean, it was just daylight. I'm not really for sure exact time of the dream, but as I was walking, I looked in the sky, and I seen Jesus in the sky with his arms spread out, and I just thought to myself in the dream, I was like, man, that's Christ. There he is, like he's coming to get us. And for some reason, I pulled my phone out. I was going to take a picture of him, but when I pulled my phone out, I took a picture of him in the sky. I pulled my phone back, you know, to see if I got the picture, to see if I even got it or whatnot. But as I looked at the picture, it was a full solar eclipse. And then the dream ended, or I woke up, but I really didn't know what a solar eclipse was at the time. I knew what a lunar eclipse was, but I didn't know what a solar eclipse was. So I did some research and seen Joel, you know, where it talks about the sun will turn black and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord. I know I seen Christ in the sky, and it was a solar eclipse on my phone. I mean, I'm not setting any dates or times or, hey, the rapture is going to happen March 20th, because it could have been another solar eclipse. It'd be nice if it was this March 20th, but all I know is I seen the solar eclipse on my phone when I seen Christ in the air. But you know, patience means salvation. And
in this dream, I was in a home I grew up in and know very well. I was not dressed or showered for the day yet. My wife had come home from somewhere and was about to head out to pick up our daughter from somewhere. She told me if I wanted to come to hurry and get dressed. I told her that there was about to be a solar eclipse and we should go see it before we go. She went outside. I threw on a shirt, looked out the window, and I noticed that it was starting. I met her in the yard and we looked up to watch. The sun was dead east and the moon started to cross the bottom half of the sun from the left to the right, making it a partial eclipse from our point of view. The solar eclipse finished, but we kept watching the moon as it tracked across the sky. It started to turn orange and reach nearly dead south. At that point, it was directly above a maple tree with one leaf on it. The moon and leaf were the same color of deep orange, and I pointed that detail out to my wife. We continued to watch the moon as it stayed full, but turned to its normal white-gray color. As it continued west at around south-southwest, it passed in front of another heavenly body that was about double the moon size. The second heavenly body was similar to the moon, but instead of gray and white, it was distinctively blue and white. We continued watching the moon until it snapped back to the other heavenly body, and I yelled, "Whoa, whoa, it's a sign, it's a sign." My wife and I both knew that the other body was a sign of the rapture. We each threw up an arm and looked up to heaven. My wife was on my left. I looked down to my right, and I thought about my daughter, but I knew she would be going on her own. I knew she would be raptured, but that she would not ascend with us. I then looked back up and realized that there was still a bit of time, and I pulled my wife down toward our knees and we went down. I prayed out loud.
So I had a rapture, and what consisted of that dream was me being outside of my apartment, and basically the solar eclipse was happening. The moon went in front of the sun, and then I heard a trumpet go off for at least 10 seconds. And then all of a sudden, I take my glasses off, and then the clouds started just forming together so fast, so quickly. And then Jesus appeared above the clouds, very big, like bigger than usual. Like he wasn't like a normal sized person. So then, all of a sudden, he put his hands out, really big hands, big white robe, long hair, and said, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay, everyone." So, like this. Like assuring everyone that it's going to be okay. So basically the next thing that happened is, all of a sudden I'm being raptured. I start floating up in the air, I drop my glasses. Well, I dropped my glasses first, or rather God dropped the glasses for me. And then all of a sudden I'm being beamed up, or I'm floating there actually, for a little while. And I noticed, I looked to my left, and right after, I should have said this before, but I looked to my left. Right after I dropped my glasses, I see that a friend of mine that I know very well, who lives in the apartment, was being beamed up as well. And it was crazy. I was like, yo, this is real. So then I see light above me, and the light is so beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to heaven. Next thing I know, I'm in heaven. Just clouds and clouds. I see some green land, some other clouds above clouds, a river, some, green land, flowers. And then I see God.
Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Lisa, and I'm coming on to share a very vivid dream I had a couple of days ago. I just want to put it out there. I don't very often come on and share dreams. This is probably one of the first ones I've had in a very long time where it's very detailed. Usually I can't remember dreams, so the fact that I have this remembering of it just seems very urgent to share this with all of you. And please take everything to the Lord. So what happened was, in this dream, I believe I was in the perspective of another woman. And so I was this woman, and I was at some sort of a party or a gathering of some sort. And when I'd looked down to see, I was wearing very provocative clothing, and I don't dress that way normally. But this girl was wearing like a halter top type deal with either a skirt or shorts or something really short, and the midsection was exposed, not covered or anything. And so this person was partying or doing whatever in that scenario, and she was intoxicated, and I could feel that intoxication in this dream. I felt like I was under the influence of alcohol to that point. And then the next thing I realized is I'm going outside and looking up in the sky, and it was massive and huge. And I'm just going to show you a picture here of what I saw. I saw this. It looked like a solar eclipse of some sort, and it was completely like this, blocked all the way around was the light. It was really big in the sky. It was huge. And around this eclipse that I'd seen in the sky, there was also what looked like northern lights, how they dance in the sky, and they move and curl and curve and so forth. But it was sort of circular around the outside of this eclipse that I had seen. And it kind of seemed to me like it was like I got the idea, or something came in my mind. It was some sort of a portal. I can't explain how I know that it's just, that's what came to mind. And so when I was seeing this outside, I was excited, and I knew it meant rapture, that Jesus was coming, and I was yelling it out to everyone, it's the rapture, Jesus is coming. And even though in this dream I was intoxicated, I was excited, and I knew Jesus was coming. And then the next thing I know, the rapture had happened, but I didn't go, I was left behind. And I was so sad and crying and hurting and upset that I didn't get to go. And I got the understanding that it was because of me being in drunkenness, and because of the way I was dressed, my outward appearance and so forth. I got that understanding in the dream that that's why I was not able to go. And I was very, very destroyed by the fact that I didn't get taken and I got left. And then the scene changed, and all of a sudden I saw like a huge, I guess what people would refer to it as an alien ship. But we all know, those who have the understanding, what that truly is. It'll be a big deception. But there was this huge object in the sky, and it was just hovering over the land. Like, it wasn't like way high up in the air. It was hovering over the land and so forth. And I only got a little glimpse of a part of this spaceship, or whatever you want to call it. I only saw like the little end of it. Had I looked to the right, I probably still wouldn't have gotten the full scope of how massively huge this thing was. And then the scene changed again, and I felt like there was a veil of darkness, just a darkness covering over the whole earth. It was so thick and evil. And then the scene switched again, and I was hearing or seeing on TV, there was news and reports, and I'd seen people on the news, and their face changed. They didn't look human anymore. All of a sudden they changed into these weird looking creatures. And I got the understanding that they were not human, they were just pretending to be this. But after all this had happened, now people were going to be able to see who they really were. They couldn't be disguised anymore. You got to see their true identity, and they were pretending to be us, but they weren't. And I saw that twice. I saw one person change, their face changed, and it looked not cartoonish, but kind of along the lines of, say, Monsters, Inc. type of look, or Shrek. It wasn't animated, but it wasn't, I don't know how to word it exactly, but I saw their faces go from looking human to not being human anymore. It was very weird. And then after that happened, I woke up from this dream. So I just felt that I should put this out there and share this dream that I was given. And please, as always, take everything to the Lord in prayer of what it is He's wanting to share here. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and there could be other things to this. I'm still gonna hopefully get more revelation on what this dream was purposed for, and Him giving this to me, because as I say, I have a hard time retaining my dreams, and so I just felt, I needed to share this. So anyway, God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.